Why is it difficult to forecast? If it is so on demand, why it is not practiced so widely? Why it is really difficult to predict the distant future and to have a bold ideas about distant future? There are several reasons. I'm not going to put you into all the network of the reasons, because this is introductory course. I would like to show you kind of tip of the iceberg that really help us to understand how big size can be about why is it difficult to forecast. In fact, the question is, when we are forecasting, the question is how to get knowledge about technological future. The question is how to learn about something that still did not happen. And this is not the same how to learn about something that we have experienced. First difficulty is that technology is not only hardware. It is not only machine that we have to predict. The technology is always a synergy of hardware. We need a software, in other words, knowledge, how to build this hardware and how to use it and how to recycle it. And it's also include very essential part. I can say this, this is a core part. This is a orgware. This is the regulations and infrastructure, how we are going to use this hardware. This is one difficulty. We have to be multi-dimensional. We have to be, we have not only knowledge about the machine by itself, but the evolution of three of them. Another reason that our technologies, they have different complexity. We have a complex, relatively simple technology like a chair, like a clock, and we have a complex technology like a city, modern city with a lot of interaction. Our technologies, they are always multi-level technology. The one technology is a part of another one. For instance, railroad, this is a part of technology of transportation, when transportation technology is a part of urban technology and intercity technology. And they have very different relationship, all those technologies among them. What is seems optimal from one point of view, for instance, in order to go from point A to point B, we built the railroad, the highways. The highways very good for cars, but not so good for water cleaning, because we have a heavy problem about water evacuation from the concrete surface. So all those interactions between different technologies make it not so easy to predict how the future, long-distance, particularly long-distance future of technologies will look like. It is possible, but it is not as simple as it looks like from the beginning. When you make just projection with extrapolation curves, and you can build, yeah, we can see how it looks like in the future, but what it will be, this is still the question to explore. That is why it is not so easy to answer for the distant future. That is why the people, a lot of people, they don't believe it is really possible. Another problem is we are talking about knowledge. Do you remember the forecast? The forecast, this is about technology, but it's knowledge about future of technology. When by itself the knowledge, they are based on data, information, our capacity to digest information, our capacity to collect data, and our knowledge are also depend about our strong wisdom and strong beliefs. So that's why, in order to get this knowledge about future of technologies, which are entirely by themselves are very interlinked with other domains of our activities, we have to have a good idea how to manage the knowledge, how to manage all the process of learning. Watch out, we are learning about future, we are not learning about past. About past, it's relatively easy. We can always confirm what we learn by past experience. About future, it's a bit different. One more problem to get this knowledge is how do we operate, how do we work together in a teams. The famous story about 6 scientists who came to explore the elephant, and they touched different parts, and they were not agreed who is experiencing what, and they tried to convince each other that one is right and second one is wrong, make it also different. The question is not to make clear who is right and who is wrong, but to find a way how to join all those experiences together, how to integrate it in order to discover this elephant, this future technology. So we need to enhance our cognitive capacity, and we need to enhance our capacity to work together in a team. Another cognitive barrier for the forecasting, this is so-called subjective versus objective. For instance, if you look to this picture, I have a question. Who is right on this picture? The man on the right or the man on the left? Because the man on the left, he say that this number is 6. When for the man on the right, it's absolutely evident that the number is 9. And this is very often happened when people are discussing what will be the future, because they observe situation just from different point of view. And different point of view, to be capable to see situation from different point of view can be illustrated, for instance, with this picture. If you look to the cylinder from this side, you can see just the circle. If you just change your viewpoint from this side, you will see rectangular. And it depends on our capacity to integrate these 2 viewpoints in order to discover, no, it is not rectangular, it is not circle. This is a cylinder. And this is exactly one of the reasons why it is entirely difficult to learn about future. Because we have to learn about future from different point of view, not only from technological, from economic, social, environmental. And we need to be capable to integrate it in order to see the cylinder, not to convince each other that this is circle or this is rectangular. In fact, the things that we try to predict, they are not what they are in our descriptions, but they are what we think they are. And how to merge this limited cognitive capacity of human being with the reality. This is a problem. This is a problem that has to be solved on the way to provide reliable forecast. And this is much more difficult to collect if I compare with the collection of the data or building or running some models, even very sophisticated models. This is a main barrier. The cognitive capacity, the biases. And if we look to the history of research about cognitive biases and our illusion, there is a map like that. I just give you the very generic picture of this, just illustrate how this topic is explored already from one point of view, but from another point of view, how it is not easy to answer. The cognitive biases, this is something that prevent us from learning, that prevent us to see something that we don't believe it exists, and so on and so on. So in order to be reliable with forecasting, we have to have a bold idea. Bold idea means practical idea, which works. How to deal with all these limitations that I tried to share with you. And this is, as I said at the beginning, this is just tip of the iceberg, which we need to be reliable with answering this question with our methodology. In body of our course, we introduce you some methodologies that help that helps to deal with, and in an advanced course, we can suggest for your attention to practice how to do this in practice.